Aloha everyone, and welcome to the Planet Grom, where I aim to show people the world around them with videos, answering questions, telling stories, and seeing sights on motorcycles. And in this episode, we're talking about why I picked the Honda Grom as my main bike. When people imagine motorcycles and motorcyclists, they might imagine a cruiser roaring down the road, all chrome, loud pipes, the potato. Its rider clad in either denim or leather with a half-shell helmet on and a grimace on his face, off to terrorize the next town. Or they might imagine the sport bike with loud colors and the high-pitched winding of the engine, its rider looking pretty similar to a Power Ranger, maybe wearing a onesie and equipped with shiny plastic parts where no other human being ever thought to put shiny plastic parts. They gleam in the sun as the biker rides off to terrorize the next town. What they don't imagine is a 125cc bike with 12-inch wheels. And honestly, that was one of the draws for me. See, the Grom straddles two different lines between being a real motorcycle in that it's road legal and equipped with a normal seat height of about 30 inches or so, but the rest of the bike seems miniaturized, with the wheels being the biggest tip-off. It doesn't roar down roads, but it also doesn't scare old ladies or make parents bring their kids inside. It's non-threatening, it's friendly. It's efficient, just like me. Honestly, there are a ton of reasons that I got a Grom, and I am of the mind that most people would like the Grom. How they like it is entirely up to them, but I thought it would be a good idea to break down my favorite parts of the Grom and point out some things for potential owners who are out there looking. Number one, they are great beginner bikes. They have low power, but they could still kill you if you try hard enough. The difference is that you wouldn't have to try nearly as hard to kill yourself on a bigger bike, and a lot of newer riders subscribe to the ridiculous idea of buying a 600 as their first bike, but they get into a situation where things get a little too real for them, they lay the bike down, and then they give up on riding altogether. There's a lot to be said about starting on a small bike and leveling up as your skills genuinely surpass the abilities of the bike you're on. But I think the biggest takeaway is that you can develop your skills as a rider on a whole, not just your skills at twisting the throttle, on smaller, less threatening bikes, and then transplant them to bigger bikes. Number two, they're cheap. They're not really. They're not cheap initially. A lot of naysayers will point out used real motorcycles for the same price as a new or even used Grom, but they're cheap in other ways. With over 100 miles per gallon, low insurance costs, affordable parts, and low maintenance costs, the savings here and there really add up, and it won't take long at all before the Grom reveals itself as a bike that costs less to own over time than any of the bigger, real motorcycles. Number three, they're fun to modify. I bought mine with my desired mods already on it, which were different mirrors and adjustable brake and clutch levers. Outside of that, the only thing that I want is to order a new set of plastics and have them painted. But people modify these things like crazy, lowering them, stretching them, some even raise them. They paint them, wrap them, attach speakers to them, attach lights to them. They swap out just about every part of the bike, looking to make it better, faster, or more unique to them. They're as much a rolling piece of art as they are a means to movement, and that's pretty cool. Number four, there's something for everyone. Similar to the modifications, the Grom is not only fairly new to the motorcycling world, but the size and stature means that it's dismissed by bikes and bikers with more heritage and prestige. And while that may sound like a con instead of a pro, it's pretty solidly a good thing because it means that there's no status quo. There's no rule book. There's just freedom. If you want to throw a set of knobbies on your Grom and tear up dirt paths, you can. If you want to lower it and stretch it out, you can. If you want to just leave it bone stock and commute from home to the office, you can do that too. And you can put all three of these Groms together, and not only would they not look weird next to each other, but the riders would probably still get along because there's no weird unwritten rules involved. The heritage the Grom riders are building is honestly one of the best out there because it's more inclusive than any others that I've been near, researched, or heard stories about. And maybe that's a generational thing where Grom riders, even though they span the largest age bracket in Honda's motorcycling sales today, they're generally young and more interested in having fun than cosplaying as motorcycle heavies like the ones they've seen in the movies. Number five, they make you happy. Well, they make me happy at least. I could have the worst day in the world, and the second I even catch a glimpse of my Grom waiting for me, all the stress and worry that I've been carrying drops away with each step. With no exaggeration, by the time I'm putting in my key and starting to put on my gear, I'm grinning like an idiot because I know I'm about to ride. And sometimes the ride home is longer than other days, but that's okay. I've got an understanding wife who just wants me to be happy, and if that means a quick ride past the beach to see the waves and maybe hit a couple turns a little bit harder than recommended, so be it. By the time I arrive home, I'm the person I want to be with my family. And before I got my Grom, this wasn't always the case. Sometimes I had issues bringing work and stress home with me. But I started working on that, and around the same time I started riding my Grom specifically, and I've gotten a lot better at disconnecting work me from home me. I know that correlation isn't causation, and maybe it was just me constantly working on that disconnection, but the end result is the same. By the time I got home, I'm the person I want my family to see, and I feel good about that. The fact that I can't stop smiling as I get on my Grom is just a good sign that the bike specifically is helping me out. Number 6, they're adorable. A great friend of mine asked in all seriousness if I thought that people were smiling at my bike or because of my bike, and those are two different things. But I countered that it didn't matter. They're still smiling. Personally, I like being the guy on the mini bike, or having people say, hey, I've seen you riding around, even though I'm covered head to toe in gear, and the only real identifier is the school bus yellow Grom. I don't want to be the guy that makes people plug their ears because they're loud pipes, and I don't want to be the ones that people complain about racing through neighborhoods. I want to be a good guy, you know? And I've got my own reasons for that, and I'm sure I'll make a video exploring them, but I'll say that it's way easier to be the good guy when you're riding on an adorable little bike. It's so non-threatening that people approach it and me all the time, comments and questions. And usually they're nice, sometimes they're not. It's not really important. What is important is that they felt comfortable enough to walk up to me in the first place. Number 7, they're slow. Seen almost universally as a con, I will stand up and say that slow is good. Well, slow-ish is good. When I rode my Ruckus around, I didn't have to go very far at all before the speed limits of the road surpassed the scooter and riding became dangerous. The Grom is fast enough to handle just about any back and secondary roads, even a lot of primary roads depending on where you are, but interstates, they're almost always out of the question. Not that that's a bad thing. What was the last interesting thing you saw on an interstate? There's nothing on the interstate. I mean, sure, you cut through cities, but almost always you see the same things at every few exits, and it instills a sense that the area is the same, homogenized, boring. And it's not. You just have to stop trying to drive so fast through it. Instead, you can embrace the slow that is the Honda Grom and take the scenic routes. Really soak in the world around you. Pull off somewhere and find something interesting, or maybe do some research about a place. Go on a little road trip. You could find a lot of interesting things if you just slow down enough to see them. And that's my basic list of what I love about the Honda Grom and why I am a happy owner. I see a lot of people buy Groms and then quickly get rid of them for different reasons, but mostly it's because of speed. And I'll admit that if you're the type of person who's gunning for speed and speed alone, the Grom is probably not for you. But if you're looking for fun of a different sort, the Grom might scratch that itch, and it's worth considering. So what do you think? Are you planning on buying a Grom? If so, what are you planning on doing with it? Do you already own the Grom? If so, what are your favorite things about it? Let me know in the comments below, and if you like this video, please subscribe and click the bell so you can be part of the notification squad. Until next time, mahalo nui loa.